Hello there and welcome to my YouTube channel, Julie McNeil Craft. So it's time for take 5. So here are the prompts, and we have washi tape, all good, swoosh technique, all good, embossing powder, all good, blue and purple, not my favourite colour but all good, and postage stamp. Now I know this may sound bizarre, but that one has proved a challenge. I can't find a postage stamp. Yeah, and I've even gone through all our mail and stuff to see if there's one sitting there, but it's all the sort of pre-franked stuff. Anyway, I have a brand new journal. Just take a moment to just take that in. Isn't that gloriously lovely? So this new Diane Reevely one. I bought this from Be Crafty. I had one of these journals before, and to be honest, it wasn't my favourite. I've never really enjoyed working with it. I've not finished it. But I also think that that's possibly partially to do with the fact that I didn't know as much about journaling. One of the first things I did was sort of spray, and then all the ink ran down the spine. So I think I've learned a little bit more since then. Plus I love the fact that it's got, we've got the normal watercolour card, we've got black, and we have got the craft card as well. So I just like that. It was a little bit different, and yeah, it was a journal. So, blue, purple and blue. Let's start off with that and start off with some smooshing. I'm going to pop a bit of pink in there just because purple and blue is not overly my favourite. But if we mix pink with blue, then we get purple. So, it's all good. I'm going to go for a bit of oxide. Okay. So I've got brushed. Let's start off with this. So this is my smooshing technique. And the trouble is, I have spent about 3 days straightening my craft space. So I feel like I'm working in a lovely clear space, which is all fantabulous. But I keep sort of looking around and go, oh, where's that? It's almost like I can't find it. I can't find everything in its tidy, ooh lovely, in its tidy, oh what's the word, in its tidy form. Right, this is going to take a little bit of inking and a little bit of spraying and a little bit of drying, and I'm going to be just basically repeating the process with the 3 inks that I've chosen. It's a combination of the Distress ink and Distress oxide, so I'm actually just going to pop you on speed up whilst I carry on with that one. So, as I don't have a postage stamp, I do have this physical stamp, which has got various postal marks on it. So, I'm hoping that'll do. As you would have seen, I was sort of created a separate background page. It was just more that it had a lot of water, and so I was going to be heating it for ages to try and get it all sorted. Now, it makes sense to emboss this, seeing as embossing powder is one of the prompts. But I don't really fancy doing that, to be honest, so I don't know quite how I'll incorporate the embossing powder, but we'll work that out at a later stage. So I'm just going to stamp some of this down, and this is going to have to be my postage stamp, so I'm sorry that I don't actually have an actual stamp. Who would have thought that I wouldn't be able to find a stamp? It seems quite ridiculous. And as I said, I've gone through all the mail that's sitting there, and it's all sort of like, you know, the pre-franked stuff, or stuff that's been done online. It's not got an actual physical stamp on it. So yeah, so that proved a little bit difficult. Right, so we've got that. We've got a little waft, and I think what I'm going to do is grab my let's see what we've got. I like that one. Oh, and we've got, seeing as we've got blue and purple as the prompts, let's bring out a blue one as well. And we've got that one that's got some script on it. So what I'm thinking is I sort of maybe want to section this off a little bit. And then I'm going to create a design in one of the sections. It is a sort of layout that I do quite like. I've done it in my Dina Weekly journal. So I quite like the idea of this journal. I love my Dina Weekly journal. And I do enjoy the burlap pages and the fabric pages. Like, I do quite enjoy those, but they're just not my favourite thing to journal on. I like the challenge and I like it for something different, but when it's like a third of the journal, it's yeah, it's something I sort of want to be doing on more occasionally than regularly. But I like the thought. I like sort of having the opportunity to do that, because I do like working on different substrates. But it was almost too much. Too much opportunity. So I like that, but I didn't want to go for one of those again. I've enjoyed working in it, but to be honest, once I finish that journal, I'll be quite happy to say I've finished that journal, I've done that. I'll be more than happy with that. So yeah, I'm just gonna, I thought this was sort of similar idea, but at least it's all sort of card, but different colours. So it's a different way of challenging myself. Now I've pulled out my Art by Marlene stuff, because I'm thinking, because we were to have the postage stamp, that it could be like almost like a postcard. Plus I'm wanting to create a quick and easy page. So I think what I'm going to do is pop some of these elements out off camera, and then I'm almost going to create like a postal card design. Actually, I should have done that the other way around. I wonder if I can move my washies, because I'm thinking on a postcard. No, it'll be alright. It'll be alright. I was thinking on a postcard you kind of have your picture on one side and the writing, but actually the writing's on the back, so never mind. I will be back when I've got some bits popped out. So got all my elements, taken all the pips off. I've just got a little bit of white gesso, and I'm just going to knock back this section, this quarter here that my design's in, because it's the background's looking quite busy, and I think my little scene will be a little bit lost around it. So we're still gonna have the colours and the details of all the smishing and the stamping. We've still got bits of the stamps down the side, and we've got this sort of splattered effect at the bottom, but it's just going to differentiate this quarter, or it's not quite a quarter, but this top right hand corner, so that our scene can be built on there and that we can see it. It's just that as I was laying the pieces down, it wasn't really, it didn't really stand out overly well. So I'm just gonna pop those bits in there like so. Lovely. It's created a nice sort of lilac-y look there. So I'm just going to grab my one of my rags, and I'm just gonna wipe that off. Not that I mind it going over a little bit, I'm just gonna wipe that off. And I'm going to just heat that again. You'll have seen on fast forward that I was heating from both sides. My page is becoming quite warped, and I think that's just because I'm heating it. I probably should let it dry naturally, but the fact that I'm heating it on the back should just sort of help to even that out a little bit, so it's not bending. Because basically we're expanding and contracting the fibres. So it's like when we put water down, the fibres in the paper all swell up and it expands, and then when we get the heat to it, it's rapidly drying it, so it all shrinks. So we are going to get a bit of warpage, but you know, it's in a book, and it'll either get flattened down or it'll just become part of the texture that our lovely journals become. Right, so there was this little piece there, which I thought created a little interesting bit. So I was thinking, trying to build up a little scene. Look. camper van, sort of works. And then we've got a little cloud, because you know it's me, it wouldn't be right without a cloud. Got a little ice cream cone, which could be sort of part of the scene. I thought I had popped out another cloud. I thought I had more than one cloud, and then I was thinking that I would build up some flowers in the corner here, and I sort of have this coming up this corner. She says, I feel like I've lost my pattern. It's quite, well, it's not overly late. I'm just very tired. I feel like, well, I've got a toothache and abscess in my tooth, but we're going to Skye tomorrow, and I'm gutted because I'm really excited about where we're going. I discovered online this little bakery place that looks like a little fairy village, and I showed it to my daughter and was like, should we try and find that in the summer holidays? And she was like, yes. You know, she was really excited, and I'm really excited, and I'm just feeling a little bit under the weather, so I'm hoping that, you know, by popping painkillers for the weekend I will be fine and I will get my tooth sorted when I come back. But it just means I'm a little bit tired and out of it, and I think that's affecting my ability to patter. I quite like that. That works quite well. I need to find something so that the mountains aren't floating in the middle of the sky. What have we got? We've got some various shapes and things. Maybe this one. Also need to find another cloud. If there's not another cloud in here, there should be a cloud in my bit box. The other thing I do have here is her collage sheets, so we could possibly just, if we take something that's green, that one works quite well. Oh yeah, I like that. If I take just a little bit of this, maybe, I should have possibly torn it the other way, and just tuck that behind there almost. Yeah, that we've created a little bit of a scene there. That makes sense in my head. Right, I'm just going to pause the camera and I'll stick that down, because this is pretty much the layout. You don't need to see me stick it down, and I'm also going to search for another couple of clouds. Okay, so that's me stuck everything down. I added a little lamppost in that I didn't do in the earlier thing. I found another cloud, but I wanted 3 and I only had 2. So what I did is I chopped this one in half and tucked it behind the lamppost, and then I've got my 3, but with a little bit of jiggery pokery. Right, I'm going to do some shadowing because I love shadowing. And also I'm really wanting to bring the eye to, I mean the eye sort of naturally goes to this corner anyway, but I'm wanting to really emphasise that, and I've gone for some blue colours because obviously the blue and purple were in the prompt, and I think because I added the pink and the knowledge that purple, yes, and the very fantastic knowledge that I clearly don't have, with the knowledge that obviously pink and blue make purple, so I knew we'd end up in the right colour tones, but I don't know that we've particularly got enough blue in this project. So to sort of emphasise the blue a little, I am just going to do the shadowing in blue. So I think I'm going to sort of shadow around the main bit of the scene. I'm not going to shadow everything, just the main scene, and then possibly just around the caravan to emphasise that. And then also I'm going to sort of shadow around the washi there again, just to sort of make more of a feature of the fact that we've sectioned off this page. I quite often like doing this. I think when I eventually finish my Dina Weekly one, you know, I've got quite a lot of pages where I have sort of sectioned off a corner and done my main journaling in a corner. I think one of the advantages of that is that sometimes, I don't particularly want to go on there, sometimes we can become a little bit overwhelmed by a larger page, and if we are, if that is us, that just sort of sectioning a little bit of it off and just working within that section. So basically that's like it working in a small card. The rest of the page doesn't really matter, but we've still filled a full page with it. So I think sometimes if you've sometimes we can get, you know, the fear of the blank page. It's a real thing. We can all face that. I've just realised there's a little gap there. It's going to bother me, but I did throw a flower that I'd thingied out and popped into my bit box. That's a bit too big. I will find another flower. There's just a little gap in there that will irk me. So yeah. So I think that sort of emphasises that, and also the fact that we've gone for blue. It looks like the sky. So that's all just rather fun tabulosis. So I am going to do what I normally do at this stage and just pop you on fast forward while I continue. So, yeah, I've done my shadowing. Now, I've kind of got this idea in my head that if this was the postcard that you'd be writing your message, I know this isn't sort of true to form because you'd be writing your message on the back. I'm just going to make sure I've got that butted up to the edge. So, I want to create, just going to mark some lines. This is just so that I go straight when it comes to drawing some lines. Okay, and then if I make sure I'm at the top of the page again. Okay, and then I'm thinking I'll draw some lines and then almost like write a postcard, as it were. Okay, so the reason I've done that is so that I'm going to pull this towards myself a little bit, that if I mark those two lines up, we should have straightish lines if I actually follow the markings, which I've not completely done, but you know, there we go. It'll give the idea of it. It works in my head, but then my head is a strange place, so whether it works in any other world, I'm not quite so certain. And I'm not going to do writing that's readable. I'm going to, oh, I can't remember what it's called. It's sort of like, I'll write words, but they'll be so illegible that they won't look like real words. I can't really remember what that's called. There is a name for it. And it's not doctor's handwriting. But I can't, I'm thinking, like, I know it's not asymmetric, but it's, oh, I can't remember what it's called. Angie would be able to tell me. Right, so I've kind of created some lines there, and then what I'm going to do is change my nib. I've got a slightly thicker nib, so what was that? That was MI2. I don't think I have a bigger micron, so let's go for brush nib 1. And then I'll just put sort of like, having a lovely holiday in my gorgeous camper van in my quirky, imaginative world. So see, I am sort of writing something. Wish you were here. La 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 la, because I don't really know what to write now. There, so in my head that works. See, it's like the postcard. I really want to put a stamp on it, but I don't have one unless I actually use like a stamp that's in my collection for posting letters. And part of me is thinking I should just do that because I spent the amount of money I spend on craft supplies, what's the amount of money that an unused stamp would be, and part of me is like, it's an unused stamp, that's ridiculous, you need it for posting letters. So I don't know. And this, my glue, come on glue. Right, so I think I would still like a sentiment, even though we've got our wiggly squiggly writing there. And also I still need to put embossed detail somewhere. We still need to use embossing powder. So I'm just going to turn the camera off while I contemplate that. Okay, so I've relented and I've gone and got my an unused stamp. I'm going to pop it there like it's a postcard. And then now what I'm going to do is I've got my VersaFine Clear. This is a brand new VersaFine Clear, so it's very juicy. So I know it's going to stay wet long enough to get the embossing powder, but I'm going to almost like postmark it so it looks like it's been gone through the post, if that makes sense. And I'm just going to pop my embossing powder on it. Now I always find, because I get into quite a pickle using black embossing powder, I always find that it gets absolutely everywhere. So what I tend to do is I will emboss with a juicy black ink pad. Normally I use my Brilliance one, but that's at the bottom of the box. Just trying to get a bit of card to put that onto. And my VersaFine Clear was just there, and as I said, because it's a brand new VersaFine Clear, I knew, as I said, that it would stay juicy long enough. Now if I just popped my, for me to be able to still emboss with it. So just gonna pop that back into there before I splodge it everywhere, and then we'll get the heat gun on it just to emboss that. We'll see this change. Yep, it's just beginning to turn now, so we're getting a nice glossy effect. The best thing with your heat gun is let it heat up. It's a bit like when you do your ironing. You wouldn't iron without waiting for your iron to heat up, and you just slowly move it, wait till it's actually sort of turned before we do that. I'm also going to just, I feel this bottom corner, although the focus is meant to be up here, I feel this bottom corner now here is just a little bit like, it feels like it needs to belong a little bit more. So I'm going to bring this stamp in again, but in black. As I said, just to get a bit more interest down here. And I'll possibly do it over here as well, just to sort of tie that together a little bit. And then I'm thinking that we had like little hearts that were part of that set, that I might create some little dangles over here. Let me have a look. I had a little look, there was 3 here that I thought was good. Got this very moment, because I just think, especially when we're on holiday, it's good just to sort of take time to enjoy the moment. You know, we work very hard, that when we have our holidays it's good just to sort of be in the moment and take it in. Then I've got Explore, which I'll put there, and then we've got Wonder, which I'll maybe just pop down in this corner here. Yeah, so I'm just going to get some more little bits, probably some flowers and some hearts, and we'll just create some dangles down here, I think we're on the home street. So I've added, there was these little sort of blue dots and these little pink hearts. So I've got 2 blue dots up there and a pink heart, and then I've got 2 pink hearts and a blue dot down here, just to sort of not make the dangles that are down here look completely random, and make it look a bit more deliberate, the fact that we've got matching ones in the opposite corner. So I'm just going to turn those into dangles because, yeah, the dangle obsession is still there and still very real. There we go. So do that, and then I am going to just add my doodly border, but I am just going to do that in this section here, so that we're really emphasizing this corner with all the details. So as I said, in my head this is a very wacky sort of postcard. I might actually do some around this side as well, but not all of it, because I don't want to section the top part off too much from the bottom. So I'll maybe just sort of doodle the corners. Yeah, so I'm thinking that's, she says, I still feel this is quite empty, but I'm not quite sure what to do about the situation, unless we just go for another mini seam down here. Give me 2 seconds because I don't want this video to be really long. Okay, so I have added a bit of extra detail there, and I've just grounded it with a bit of shadowing. I'm going to bring the doodle all round. Maybe it's the fact it's not looking framed. I like it, I just don't feel that it's 100% right yet, and I'm not sure why. So, but I also know I need to sort of get going, because as I said, we're leaving tomorrow morning. It's later than I should be up already, and yeah, I'm not overly sure what to do about it right now. So I think I'm gonna call that done, unless, can I pick these up? These pick up without destroying what's underneath them. Go very carefully. Okay. Nice. I sort of bring these down here, so that there's something in this bit here, and then maybe that one up there, so the eyes coming down the page. I think that might help a little bit. I don't know if it's completely fixed it, but right, let's try just doing a little squiggle around this, just to emphasize the words. See if that helps. Oh dear, I don't know what I'm doing, because yeah, I don't know. I think this may seem random, but I think I'm going to do some splashes, and I think I'm going to pick up this yellow, because yellow always lifts a page, and after that we're just going to have to go with that. Okay, I've got my Dina Weekly Gloss Spray, because this is going to be really opaque, and so yeah, it's going to dry nice and opaque, because obviously it's an acrylic spray, it's not going to get lost in with the watercolours and stuff like that. It's not going to merge with the layers underneath, because obviously the other layers underneath are water reactive, but this isn't. So I'm just going to add that just coming down the page, and yeah, I'm going to stick with that, because as I said, I'm not quite sure what else I can do. I'm just going to sort of shuffle everything on my desk so that you can't quite fit that in. Let me just okay. So I had finished this page, but I wasn't happy with it, and I was saying sometimes you need to walk away and come back to it. As I was editing my video, I think what it is I've done a doodle line here, which is cutting this half on from here so it's not flowing. And I think I just need to make a feature of that. So what I'm going to do is do a similar line in this corner here, so that we've got the feature there and then the feature here. So let's have it coming up there, and I think that'll help to marry it. And then I need to bring something that sort of makes all of these elements tie together. So I was thinking that just a little bit of the stitching doodle that I like so much might just help to sort of have the various sections that we've created, but still make it look like all the sections belong. And then I think I will be a much happier bunny. It's amazing, that was just a little thing, a few black lines just there and those little stitching details, and I already feel much happier about the page. As I said, I liked it, it just wasn't quite right, and I couldn't work out what wasn't quite right about it. But yeah, because I was watching it whilst editing, I was looking at it and going, what it is, this line, that line there was throwing it off, and so it was stopping the eye from travelling around the page as it should. But now we've sort of sectioned it a little bit better. Okay, so that is me finished my page now. Definitely much happier with it. It's done it so that I'm happy. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. If you have enjoyed it here, please do consider liking and subscribing. I really hope that you'll join us with this month's challenge. If you do, if you use the hashtag Take5Art so that we can come and find you on social media. And if you do make a video, let one of us in the collaboration know, and we will email or let Kyra know, and she'll pop you in a playlist for this month's videos. As always, please do check out what the other girls have done. It always amazes me how we all take the prompts in such very different directions, and I know that you'll be inspired. It's a talented bunch of ladies. And you'll find all the details to their channels in the description box below. And I will see you again very, very soon. Okay, take care then, and goodbye.